Hello listeners in today's program on Health Issues Podcast. As we continue discussing the medical conditions, in today's episode we will be discussing COVID-19. You are with me, Ignis Uchoga, the presenter and the editor of this program. And our guest today, our usual guest, Mr. Gift Josa, will be taking us through this medical condition. Welcome, Mr. Josa.
Thank you for another session of COVID-19.
All right, let's begin with the overview of COVID-19.
COVID-19, we can describe it as a respiratory illness. Most of the time it's coming or is caused by the viruses. This is viral infection, which most of the time we diagnose it using what we call, or the cause is a virus we call SARS-CoV-2. That's respiratory syndrome, COVID number 2, because this in SARS there are a lot of viruses classes, but most of this time around if we are talking of COVID-19, we talk about SARS-CoV-2. First, it was identified in Huawei, that is in China, that is 2019, and that's why you are seeing, or you can have evidence that is being COVID-19 because it was discovered in 2019, that was in December. Because in this case arisen in China in 2019, most of the guys died with it. In Italy, a lot of cases. Every time things happen a lot. There was lockdowns in the countries, lockdown in all avenues. It was only in Malawi whereby we didn't have lockdown. And I recall by then, the president of Malawi, the late Mutalika, said we need to lock down. The former president, not the late, should be the former president.
Take this.
The former president, Arthur Peter Mutalika, announced about the lockdown. The majority was not in line with it, so things didn't go on right. People were still manufactured and moved without following any restriction. The condition by then, I recall, we had only one case, but things did not go right for us in the midst of it, whereby we lost a lot of powerful individuals, the likes of Muhammad Sadiq Miawi, the late, then other guys. The condition becomes very critical. So that disease had a lot of impact in terms of those kind of things. Globally, according to WHO, it was declared as a pandemic on 11 March, that was 2020. And over 600 million cases worldwide was discovered, and out of death, about 6.5 million deaths worldwide happened. You see there, so a lot of cases, a lot of people become, we are no longer seeing them because of COVID. And economically, it has played a lot of impacts. Trillions of dollars has been lost because of those lockdowns. There was no marketing, there was no any transportation. Things was not all right because of this COVID-19, which was discovered in December 2019 in China at Huawei. So that's what we can say about COVID-19. Sure.
All right. Now, how is COVID-19 transmitted?
Transmission of COVID-19, that's why the individual who on the top there were saying we need to prioritize lockdown. This condition is most transmitted by person-to-person contact. If you are COVID positive, you become in contact with me, you cough along with me, the chances of getting infection is very high because I'm taking your aerosols into my lungs. In the lung, this is a viral infection. Virus is spreading with bacteria is different. Virus has got very efficient in terms of spreading. As such, the infection was spreading by person to person. The person might have some other things, like he can have poor coughing etiquette. He can cough or she can cough in the hand. In the end, what shall it entail? It shall entail that if you are shaking hands with him or her, the chances of getting infection is higher again because of respiratory droplets. Number 2 transmission is respiratory droplets. How? In the very same way. The same way how? Because of poor etiquette of handling respiratory droplets. Contaminated surfaces, the very same way. So, the very same way in terms of how you have contact with someone else who is having COVID, and that person has COVID in his or her hands. You are shaking hands with him or her. You are coming home. You are hugging your baby. You are hugging your husband. Those things will put you into predisposition of getting the COVID-19. Being airborne transmission in the what do we call? In the prison. In prison, it can be in the jails like police OPs, in the school where people they are so congested. Those things are very high to occur, especially if you have got someone else who is having the infection. So someone else who is having infection can easily transmit it to others without controlling the person. Or we need to segregate the individual to other position. This shall mean that we need to put the person on isolated position. This patient or this individual must be away from the position. That's how I can say about the transmission.
All right. Now, as you said that this disease is caused by a virus. Now, what are the clinical manifestations of this COVID-19?
COVID-19, most of the time, what is the individual is feeling, what you have been experiencing in hospital setup was about the patient was getting the very same it's more like clinical presentations of malaria, like fever, because the entourage of the foreign body there, so the body was reacting to those kind of things. The patient has some cough. Why? Because as we say that the COVID-19 much more was being looking at the issue of respiratory system. So respiratory system, the patient will always be exhibiting the same things like inflammation in the respiratory system. The chances that for him or her to get those kind of things high. Again, in addition to that, shortness of breath. This already I explained that since this condition always attacks the respiratory system, so shortness of breath is very high there. Fatigue, anything that happens in the body, we can experience that as fatigue because of the body processes have been diminished. A headache, I said that the brain is the first one which receives the receptors from all other organs. As such, the headache becomes very difficult for the person because of the cranial nerves are being attacked. Cranium is being attacked, has been attacked. So throat related to respiratory system. We don't need to talk about those kind of things. Runny nose. Runny nose is a matter of excretion whereby the body tries to eliminate the viral components of this kind of condition because it's a matter of reducing or eliminating the points that this viral condition must not be occluded in the system. So that's why you always experiencing the runny nose. Body aches, as I said, that the COVID, you always be experiencing like malaria. So body ache is a normal of it. Although it has got some levels, Like for example, in a mild cases, we expect that 80% of the cases is a mild one, and the moderate one the cases is 15% of the cases. Severe cases is 5%, and the critical cases is a percent one. That's a critical cases. And so in this case, what we can say is this clinical presentation, it goes with levels. At the mild, you find that a lot of majority they are suffering, and at the moderate one is only 15% of the cases, and the severe one is just 5% of the cases. In fact, the critical one is just a percent of the cases. Of all those kind of things, all these levels will exhibit the very same presentation in as far as the case is concerned. Sure, that's what I can say about the clinical presentation.
Okay, now how can you diagnose this COVID-19 in a person?
During that time, as I said, that is COVID-19 is being given a name because it started in 2019. If it was started in 2018, we would have said it is COVID-18. And since it started in 2019, we call it 2019. There was guys who underwent this kind of training. We call them master trainers. And those master trainers works probably most of the time they take the laboratory guys. And those laboratory guys, they thought it wise that they have to go on this issue using the following areas. Number one is RT-PCR, reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction. That's RT-PCR. So in RT-PCR, we always figure the viral component is being amplified to the maximum, that how many copies of this virus are in this kind of things. So the viral things, we amplify the viral things. Or we don't need to say we amplify, but the principle behind the rapid reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction is viral particles are being amplified and they're being counted on a separate sheet, where there is much more according to the manufacturer. Then we call it as this is indeed a COVID-19 case. That one, it goes to the machine, and that machine we call it Gene Expert machine. Gene Expert, it comes in various modes, can be in 4 mode, 16 mode, as well as 98 mode. So all those kind of particles that are being done in laboratory to diagnose the COVID-19, depending on the clinical presentation of the individual as well as the level of severity. So that's number one method of diagnosing COVID-19 as infection. Serological test. We have got 2 methods or 3 methods of doing serological test. We have got a kit, what we call standard AQ. Standard AQ, we collect the sample. Now we always advise the patient must give what we call another pharyngeal specimen, whereby a swab is inserted at the pharynx. At the pharynx, at a position which is well placed with this kind of viruses. It gets congested there. According to the research, it shows that the COVID-19 they stay much better on the pharynx. So we collect